Welcome to TonightTales audio. Sit back, relax, and let the story begin.
The interstellar war had raged for generations. Blood, light, fire, and silence afterward. New alliances were formed out of desperation. Humans and other species fought both with and against each other, depending on who survived the day. After the war, Sky finally found love. Sky placed her hand over the communicator. "I have time now, if you want." A faint click answered through the system as the message was sent. She leaned back in her chair and waited. It didn't take long. The steady pulse of the engines moved through the walls like a calm breath in the background. Then the door slid open. When Raily stepped into the captain's room, her presence filled the space. She moved calmly, almost soundlessly. "You have time for me?" Raily asked, a hint of amusement in her voice. Sky smiled. "I can make time." Raily raised an eyebrow. "For me?" "You know the answer." Raily smiled and walked closer. "You could have just said you missed me." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." Sky tried to hide her smile, but Raily had already seen it. She stopped in front of her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Raily reached out and gently brushed a strand of hair away from Sky's face. Sky caught her hand before she could pull it away and held it for a moment. "I did miss you," Sky admitted quietly. "I know." Raily leaned closer. Sky met her halfway. Their lips touched in a slow, lingering kiss. When they finally pulled apart, Raily stayed close, her forehead resting lightly against Sky's. "You're terrible at pretending you don't miss me," she whispered. Sky laughed softly. "And yet you keep coming back." "Maybe I like it." They moved to the bed. Sky looked deeply into Rayleigh's eyes as they settled beside each other. For a while, there was no need to speak. Rayleigh's hand rested against Sky's side, then slowly moved across her back. Her fingers stopped by the scar. She gently traced its edge with her fingertips. Sky grew still. Raily looked at her. "That scar," she said softly. "I've never asked you about it." Sky was quiet for a moment. Then she took a slow breath. "I was there, at the end of the war." Civilians were supposed to be evacuated, but everything went wrong. Our commanding officer briefed us before the evacuation about the coming asteroid fall. His voice was calm, but I saw how tightly he held his hands behind his back. And I quickly understood that the evacuation would take a long time. There were simply too many people and too few shuttles. We were on our way to the colony Aurora. The landing site was already full when we came down. New shuttles continued to land around us, while others departed. Their engines made the ground shake beneath our feet. I belonged to the group responsible for loading food and medicine. The inhabitants of the colony were gathered in a large hall, divided into different groups waiting to be transported by shuttle. There were also others from the colony helping with the evacuation. Everything moved quickly, but it was still under control. Until, suddenly, a bright light began spreading across the sky. The sky began to fall earlier than predicted. Several officers shouted, "Out! To the shuttles! Hurry!" I quickly looked around the room and made sure everyone got out. When I stepped outside, I was met by chaos. The first small rocks began to fall. Fireballs streaked across the sky in every direction. The entire landing platform filled with people trying to make their way through. Suddenly, in the middle of the chaos, I caught sight of a little boy standing still, completely paralyzed with fear. I ran over and picked him up without hesitation. I saw a fireball coming straight toward us. We were almost at the shuttle when it struck. The ground shook violently. I held the boy tightly against me to shield him from the impact, and a sharp pain tore through my back. I quickly checked the boy and said, "Run now, you're almost there." I tried to crawl, but my body wouldn't obey anymore. The air was thick with smoke from the impact. I could feel my body giving up. Everything around me became blurry, and the sounds were fading into the distance. I thought this was the end, but then I woke to pain and a shaking shuttle. I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Hold on, we've got you." Then everything disappeared again. A few days later, I woke up in a hospital. The door to the room opened. "You're finally awake," the doctor said as she checked the IV bag. On the other side of the room sat my commanding officer. "For a while, we thought we had lost you." Slowly, I began to remember what had happened. "The boy? He survived because of you." Later that day, a woman stepped inside carefully with a little boy by her side. I recognized him immediately. He stood quietly for a moment, then ran forward and hugged me. "Thank you," he said. I thought I had saved him that day, But the war took him anyway, later. Raily said nothing at first. Then, Raily kissed her. "You saved a life," Raily finally said. "Most people would have run past him, but you stopped and saved him. That scar is proof of who you are." Sky looked at her. "And that's one of the reasons I love you."
Thank you for spending your time with TonightTales Audio. If this story made you smile, think, dream, or simply helped you relax, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like more stories like this. Every comment, every like, and every listener means more than you know. Until our paths cross again in another story, thank you for listening.